show, y'all!
Elaine Parker, the chief spokesperson for the Job Creators Network. She's also the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation. Elaine, great to have you.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Good. Now, you guys had the Job Creators Network had an ad in a couple papers today, the USA Today, the DC version of the Wall Street Journal, and others. And basically, and then you did that promotional radio ad also. And what you're in favor of is expedited small business loans that can be processed quickly and easily so you can meet payroll and other bills. This is for small businesses. Federally funded unemployment benefits to provide your workers, small business workers, with a safety net in case of furloughs, and a payroll tax holiday for employers with fewer than 100 employees to reduce the cost of employment and avoid layoffs. We had a clip from Cory Booker earlier who said none of this makes any sense without the Family Paid Leave Act. Explain your position on the three things you're in favor of, and then why you didn't include the Family Leave Act, Elaine Parker.
Sure. Well, with small business, there's 30 million small businesses out there, and we represent what we call Main Street small businesses. So this is, your local dry cleaner, your local restaurant. I mean, these are small businesses. They're employing, a couple of employees to maybe 50 employees. And these are the people, cash flow is the name of the game with them. Every Friday is payday, or every other Friday is going to be payday for them. They've got hourly workers, and these are the people who are likely contemplating, do I need to cut some people this Friday? Do I need to cut people next Friday? How long can I go before I have to cut people? So when you think about the big corporations, they don't need to think like that right now. They can carry this. But the small business owners, cash flow is the name of the game. And I was a small business owner, and I live in Florida, so I've been through hurricanes. I've been through the SBA loan process. Even in a hurricane situation, I can promise you it is horrible. It's horrible. It's confusing. There's a ton of paperwork. It takes forever. And all the while, you've got employees who need to be paid every Friday. Mm-hmm. So what we're advocating for is for very quickly expedited loans that, that people can literally get through their local banks, because the federal government is pushing the money out through the local banks, if that's what it takes, to get it to small business owners as fast as possible so that they can meet expenses and payroll quickly. That is the most important thing. As far as like a payroll tax holiday, what that's going to do is allow employers to, again, contribute to their cash flow so that they can keep employees on and keep operations going. Because actually, John, I was out early this morning, and normally the roads are packed. There's a lot going on, and it's desolate. It's desolate. And remember, I'm in Florida. We don't have a ton of cases in Florida. We've had 2 deaths in the state. And in my county, we have 0 confirmed cases, and the roads are desolate. So people are staying in. That's a great thing, for sure. And then, of course, federally funded unemployment benefits will help workers in case there are some furloughs. And the reality is there's probably going to be, just because of the sheer number of cases, and people are staying in. So you're not seeing as many people in stores. You're not seeing as many people in restaurants. So the unfortunate part is we are going to see some people furloughed. I'm fortunate that I can work from home. A lot of my friends can work from home. But there are jobs that you simply cannot work from home, and you have to go in for. And so those are the people, and also people, if they get sick and they feel like they have to go to work because they've got to have a paycheck, we want those people to stay home. And so we want them to be able to collect unemployment benefits that are federally funded. Those are important things.
And also, one of the things with the federally funded unemployment benefits is Senator Warner, on a conference call with reporters yesterday, said that he was advocating an expedited process so those could be obtained in 7 days. Normally, you file for unemployment, it's a couple of weeks, right? So he wants it under 7 days. Are you in favor of that?
And look, as fast as possible is what we need to do. We just cash flow to the small business owners. If the small business owners have cash flow and they don't have to furlough anybody, then obviously solves a lot of problems as long as they don't have sick employees. If we've got sick employees, we've got to encourage them to stay home. And so there's got to be an avenue for them to get benefits so that they can feed their families as well.
That's why I'm in favor of the payroll tax holiday for both employers and employees, right? So you just take a month or something where it doesn't come out. Employees get extra cash. Employers get the save cash because you're not sending it into the government. You know, another thing that Warner said yesterday, which I thought was interesting, is he talked about, and this was outside the box. He talked about delaying the filing return from April 15th to May 15th, saying that a lot of people, you know, as they are accumulating cash in the short term, that not having to pay that for a month might make a difference. But then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, you still got to pay it, right? So, but he said, you know, instead of mailing the check on the 15th, you wouldn't have to mail till May 15th. Would that help?
Look, I go back to cash flow. Cash is king, right?
Cash is
always
king, yes.
Yeah, and so the longer you can keep your cash, the better. So if a month is something that's going to help a small business owner be able to make payroll for those extra few weeks, while things get back to normal, you know, I'm assuming that things will start to get back to normal as we get on top of things, as people do stay in, and we start to see less of a spread, that extra month or 2 months, whatever it ends up being, will be helpful to keep people employed.
I think that makes sense. No question about it. And you're right when you say cash is king, especially for small businesses. And one of the things we were talking about earlier, Elaine, is, you know, if you own a small business and all of a sudden nobody's coming in, and you own a coffee shop or you own a little diner or you own, you know, a theater in Seattle or something of that nature, and all of a sudden there's no receipts coming in, right? No cash coming in. And you still got to meet payroll on Friday. That's where you get in big trouble. And so that's what these short-term SBA loans are meant to do. But rather than go to the SBA, you go to your local bank. The SBA guarantees them. That's basically the way it works, so that the bank then doesn't have the risk. You don't have to go through all that paperwork, and you get a lower interest rate. All right. Cory Booker, we had his clip earlier. He was going absolutely bat crap crazy over Republicans not want to tie in the Family Leave Act, which is, I forget exactly what it is, 13 weeks, so many weeks paid leave, so many weeks people can take off without losing their job or something. I forget the details of it, and they wanted 2 weeks. If you have to self quarantine, you get paid for 2 weeks, but that's got to get backed by the federal government. How do you stand on that?
Look, this shouldn't be an opportunity for politicians to just take advantage and throw things into bills like they always do. They should be very focused on how do we deal with the issue at hand. Things are changing every single day, and every single day we're figuring out more about this virus and figuring out that really we just need people to stay put, stop moving around, to keep it from spreading. To see these politicians doing this and playing these political games is so frustrating. I mean, that's why we did this ad, is we want the politicians in Washington to stop and listen. Small business is too big to fail. That is the greatest message, because they're employing 60 million people. That's half our workforce. And if we can keep small business going and make sure that they can pay their employees, then we can go a long way to keep anything really bad from happening. And even if it costs a lot right now in the short term, in the long run, if it keeps us from going into a recession in the long term, isn't that a good thing?
Yes.
It's less expensive.
Look, no question about it. Based on, you're in Florida, you're in a county with 0 cases, yet everybody is staying home. Everybody's now trying to focus on just getting a handle on this thing so it stops spreading. Where's the end? Do you see an end in sight? If you're your best guess, Elaine, where do you see this ending? When? Give me a timeline.
I wish my crystal ball worked today. I do think that the more that we stay still, we stop moving around, we're going to see less of a spread. I have actually gone out very little this week. I've not gone to the store, but all of my friends have said that if I'm looking in the store for toilet paper, I am not going to find it anywhere on the shelves. So it is the same kind of things are happening now that we experienced during hurricanes, in that people are starting to hoard things, and, that fear is gripping. I wish the media would sort of try to calm things down instead of continuing to fan the flames, and start talking about the movement towards people calming down, towards what people need to do, and not fanning these flames that is causing such hysteria. This is serious. It's caused a lot of problems for people. But the hysteria feels worse than the actual virus.
Mm-hmm. Spot on, Elaine. Spot on, Elaine. The media has been fanning this fire. They've been throwing gasoline on a little smoldering fire and blowing this up into this big economic crash now. And, some of us believe that they just hate Trump so much. They want to see the president fail. They don't care who gets sick, what happens to the economy. They just want this guy out so bad that these fans are getting flamed. I was saying yesterday that over my phone, I get these news feeds, Associated Press, Washington Post, New York Times, etc. And every 15 to 30 seconds, I was getting a feed with another disaster. NBA canceled, NCAA canceled, tournament canceled, no college athletics for Kansas, no college athletics for Duke, Virginia governor calls a national emergency, MLB cancels spring training, MLB delays the opening of the season, Disney World shutting down. Every 15 seconds I got one. That's just me. So everybody's getting them. That's what causes the panic. It's like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. It's insane. Dr. Fauci, when they asked him about a timeline, he said, well, like all flus, when the summer comes, it tends to go away. So he's like, May it'll be gone. I mean, as the sun comes out, the flu goes away. So, you don't want to downplay it, but the hysteria is kind of ridiculous. Although I did go to the store yesterday, and I didn't stock up on, but I did stock up, Elaine, on one thing. It's the only thing I did. I shouldn't have done it, but what do you think it was?
Beer.
Cat food for Sammy.
Right.
It's the only
that
thing.
Was my second choice.
I emptied the shelf. I'm like, okay, if all else fails, I am going to feed my cat. So I got cat food for Sammy. And,
I saw a
he's
report
got
that there's
snacks
a run on dog food.
Sammy's good for the next, 3 years or something. He's good to go. If the world ends, Sammy will still be able to eat. Elaine Parker, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, John.
John Fredericks Radio Network.